You're listening to a Time Machine podcast. Old Movie Time Machine. An adventure through time and or space. Hello everybody and welcome back to Old Movie Time Machine, the show in which we use color films made in the old US of A between the years of 1945 and 1965 as windows into the past. We climb through these windows and we investigate the world beyond. We poke around, we check out some of the items, we definitely watch the behaviors of the people. And while we do this, we ask some critical questions, such as, these people we're looking at, by the way? Who are these people? Who are they? What decisions are they making? What habits do they have? How are they treating one another? And most importantly, what are they wearing? And what do their living rooms look like? And at the end of the show, we're going to climb back through the window to modern times right now. You listening right now, we're going to come back to this time here, and we're going to answer the ultimate question on behalf of you, society of the 21st century. This movie that we just watched, we just investigated, the world beyond the window we were just checking out. Do we keep watching this? Or is this a thing that we're going to keep showing people and passing on to the next generation? Or should we just cast it aside and just let it float off into the distance, never to be heard from again? We will find out. I'm your host, by the way, through time and or space, Justin Zeppa, joined as ever by my international panel of experts at being human beings in the early 21st century, and also, I might add, the smartest people that I know. Starting on my left, Shrishma Naik. Hey, Shrish.
Hey, Justin.
Listen, on your left, across the ocean, my sister and yours, Carolyn Naoroz. Hey, sister.
Woohoo.
Hey there.
Welcome back to the program. Today we're talking about a little motion picture I like to call 1954's Woman's World. There's a lot to be said about this picture. I think we can all agree. We've had a running commentary happening all day in the chat, and we've had some discussions before rolling tape here. And I feel like maybe everybody's on the same page with this one, but to be sure, let's check in with our one-line reviews. Shrishma Naik, across the table. Do you have a one-line review of Woman's World?
Yeah, it's a woman's world, only if you're a trophy wife and want to have babies. That's the woman whose world it is.
Now, it depends on who you ask, though, because Mr. Gifford, if he sees that you're having babies, your life becomes that much more complicated, right? Because that implies that, when are you giving the company babies? We're going to get into it. I'm with you entirely. Carolyn Naoroz, do you have a one-line review for Woman's World, 1954?
Yes, I do. I'm going to quote the opening song with a slight edit. Okay. So it's a woman's world, but only because it's narrated by an old white man.
Right.
True enough. And to follow.
Can we also cue my eye roll noise drop?
Oh, you want that sound right now? You want the sound?
Yes.
The sound of the eyes rolling out of your skull? Here they go.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there they go. Well, if we had animals, they'd be chasing after them. Be careful. The dogs might pick up one of your eyeballs. Yeah. Be careful.
We should add a gunshot too.
Just to simulate your feelings during the watching. Okay. Okay, great. That's the only way. This is a movie about a man's world, you guys. This is all about men and their place in the world. I don't know why they called it Woman's World. It doesn't make any fucking sense.
Can I quote the end of the movie? It's a great big woman's world only because men are in it. That was a line!
Yeah, I know.
It was a line in this movie!
Can we talk about the sparkly globe that we open with? A woman's world is covered in glitter.
In glitter.
Is that glitter or is it where the cities are most populated?
No, that's glitter. This is the Sahara Desert. Yeah.
That's not the Sahara Desert.
Right here? Yeah, it is.
That's the light from your lamp.
No. It's still there. I'm moving it around. I'll move it down to this one.
I thought it was
there
like,
it is.
I thought it was like where it's the most populated. That's where like all the lights were concentrated.
It's just glitter. It's just they just pasted some.
I gave them more credit.
They got a styrofoam ball from the hobby shop. They painted the globe
in Elmer's
on it.
glue.
Yes, an Elmer's glue. And they rolled it in some sparkles, and it's a sparkly world. Because you fucking ladies, when you inherited the world, you covered it in fucking glitter.
Did we?
Yeah, you did.
Did we?
You did.
Okay.
Proof is right here. No, this movie was made by men, of course. The real star of this movie is New York City.
For a good like 2 or 3 minutes, I think they were.
Oh my God, there was so much file footage of New York City. And we open with some voiceover from, Mr. Gifford, who runs...
An old white man.
He's an old white man with an old white man's mustache. And he runs an automobile company called Gifford. And
his name is Gifford.
His father built this company and was also a Gifford. And he's proud to say that he's made the value of the company 5 times larger than when he inherited it or whatever. Point is, he's the president of the company, Mr. President, right? And he's got a Mr. General Manager whose name was Mr. Briggs, Mr. Briggs, who has recently passed away. And so
he's really sad about it.
Yeah, everybody's so bummed out about it. Mr. Gifford goes upstairs and we just listen to his mumbly monologue where he talks about his life and everything, and we're supposed to really give a shit about it.
Feel sorry for him?
Oh, yeah,
or
yeah.
We're supposed to care.
Like, I don't know.
And be impressed, don't forget, like 5 times more value, Shrishma. That's huge. Huge profits, huge returns. So we get to see him and he wanders into Mr. Briggs' old office, which is this incredible circular wood-paneled masterpiece of an office. It looks like a bit like the Dymaxion house.
Do you think that because we never meet Mr. Gifford's wife, we only meet his sister.
Wait, is he married?
I don't know.
I don't think he's married.
Do you think that maybe he and Mr. Briggs he's mourning the passing of his general manager because
he'll miss the hand
they were
jobs?
really lovers?
Yeah, okay.
Wow.
That could be, except
true, fair possibility. I assumed. Why don't you finish?
Well, a couple of points. Right. Number one, he's a very... Never mind. I'm not going to say that.
No, say it.
No, I will not. Number two, when we go to his country estate later, in the trophy room, you'll recall...
Yes, he has pictures of...
He has framed pictures of his trophies, his conquests. Those are all his broads that he's bagged.
That's what they were women, right?
Yeah,
they were all pictures of different women.
So that's what made me think, Carolyn, was that, okay, why would he have this up? Like, surely his wife would have a problem with him hanging pictures of all his old flings up in the country estate. But then it occurred to me that we haven't heard anything about his wife. So I'm assuming that he's a symbol for the company and the company's general attitude of the work comes before your family, which is something that he underlines very explicitly in the text of the film.
Yeah.
So, and
that we also heard in The Man in the Gray Flannel Suit.
Yeah, of course. Right. This is how you make it in the women's world, of course. You women make us, all of us men working overtime.
Like even when he was selecting, like he kept, I think there was one point he asked the question, like, he required them to be like completely dedicated to their job. So he's probably like chosen that path in his life, and he wants to choose a man who would do the same. But also maybe because he was getting handies from
he wants to choose a man who's willing to get rid of his wife in order to take the job.
Exactly.
Hand jobs would make a board meeting way more fun in any context, by the way. Is that what? I've never been a member of a board, though. Is that what everybody's doing?
Have you ever been on a... Okay.
All right.
Never mind. I'm not going to finish that one.
All right. Anyway, so Mr.
Work
Briggs...
from home is great.
He is...
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
I got you. I got you.
Sometimes you get bored.
Listen...
I don't want to know.
Moving right along. So he's chosen his 3 top salespeople from around the country, because Gifford Automobiles, it's a national treasure, right? It's out there. He's got chains and lots all over the country. So he's picked his highest 3 selling people, his best salespeople, and he's invited them with their wives. And he explains this philosophy of, really, this is also going to be an interview of the wives too, because the woman behind the man will let him know his level of commitment to the whatever, to the business and all of this. And they're just as important. And they also will be, in their own special ladylike way, the face of the business. So then we go to a very smoky sales convention ballroom. It's just like, look at these guys. I mean, all of these. And this is not even, I don't think these guys even have the excuse of being the greatest generation. All these guys that I'm looking at right now are so old that I think they probably wouldn't have been in the military 10 years prior. I think they would have been too old at that point. So they didn't even liberate Europe. If you're not liberating Europe, get the fuck out of my house. That's how I feel about it, okay? Shrishma?
Capitalism.
Did you? You got that right.
That's it.
Preach, sister. I got you. Enough said, right?
Mic drop.
So these guys, we wander into this very smoky ballroom. Everybody's suited. Everybody's smoking. They are having, look at the smoke pouring out of this man's head right over here. Good God. And then over here, we have a big model car that they're,
I thought it was a cake.
This is what they're having for dinner is a big old model space car. There it is. Anyway, everybody sort of convenes there. Mr. Gifford is there sort of glad handing, and everybody's...
There are no women.
There's not a woman to be seen. And meanwhile, upstairs, everybody's getting ready, and they all kind of converge outside of the elevators. So we get the entire main cast here for the very first time. What I loved about this in particular, though, is that as each couple arrives, each man does that thing where they all push the elevator button. Like, hey, I'm clearly couple number one over here. I know how an elevator works. I pushed that button. Why are you coming up behind me and then pushing the button again? And then the third couple comes and the guy does the exact same thing. I'd like to say that is telegraphing, like we're making fun of the dudes or whatever, but this is 1954, so I don't think so. I think they were just doing that. I think that was a performance choice. It was just
like this
is what I do.
Habit. I have to press.
Yeah. When I see elevator, I push button. So there it is.
What I didn't understand in this scene is why, Lady Talbot stayed behind.
She took her flower off, or her corsage off. So she goes over to, and I remember this distinctly because I stopped on this shot because I liked the look of this elevator ashtray. This is a new type of ashtray. I've never seen this before. Ashtray specific to the elevator waiting scenario. So if your elevator is taking too goddamn long and you need to have a fucking cigarette, you can do that safely and not drip your ashes all over the lovely Plaza Hotel. But she takes this off and then just leaves it there. And I'm guessing that's because it is masking her breast and she wants to make a big entrance. That's the other part of it too, is that I'm not going to go in with the rest of them. I'm going to come in later. Okay. So she blows into the ballroom after re-exposing herself in the way that she feels comfortable, as is her right as an autonomous woman, of course. And we get this really creepy scene where Carol Talbot, she comes in, boobs akimbo, making an entrance, right? And Gifford falls for it, hook, line, and stinker. And he walks over there and he's like, oh, hello, And he starts making some time with her and everything. And she talks about, she grabs a glass of bubbly and just talks about how she's just going to relax. And he says something disgusting like, you relax very effectively. And he sort of ogles her as she reclines in this throne-like chair in this ballroom.
I'm not going to try to match wits with you, Mr. Gifford. I'm just going to listen and relax.
I must say you relax very effectively.
And it's awful. And I think, let me see if I have a picture of it. But also we've got a little relaxing, perving ashtray over here, of course. If there's a flat surface, we know this, of course. There's a flat surface, there's an ashtray going on it. This is a very smoking-heavy movie. 1954, smoking is still on the menu. We have seen it sort of phase out. If we look at the spectrum of smoking during our era that we're investigating here, we do see towards the 60s, this does sort of leave the equation. Now, we did those beach movies, very low smoking, except for Frankie had a smoking problem. He couldn't get a cigarette to stay lit in his mouth for more than 2 drags or whatever. But that really is the limit of it. So, but here we have adults doing adult things in a big old adult city in a big old adult movie. Well, not adult movie, but big.
We have grown-ass men ogling boobies.
Let's just take a look at everybody's faces here.
Is that her? That's her husband.
That's her husband. Right? He's entitled to look that way.
Yeah. Those are.
This is Tony, the nephew, Mr. Gifford's nephew. He's getting quite a look from back there. This guy, he's looking at Tony. Interesting. He's ogling Tony, and she's looking at him. Okay, so it's a real love rhombus or whatever. But
boob rhombus.
Rhomboid boobies,
right?
Are a bunch of man babies
rare in
looking
nature,
at
but they
boobies.
are very effective. So she's relaxing effectively, and
I must say you relax very effectively.
Mr. Gifford then gives a speech. His guests of honor having arrived at the big gala, he gives a speech where he sort of calls them out and celebrates them and how they are the top salespeople of the year and so on and so forth. But he considers them all to be tax deductions, of course.
And I wish to present their charming wives, who are also tax deductible and as pretty a set of tax deductions as will pass through the Treasury Department this year.
Which is a compliment, I guess. They then go to dine at the Stork Club. And the Stork Club is a very jazzy type of dance place. These two, we're looking at Sid Burns and Jerry Talbot here just smoking at the table. I did want to point out this branded Stork Club ashtray and matchbook as well. I mean, this place has its branding down. So that's pretty hot. And they all have their champagne and everything. Anyway, Sydney asks Jerry if he likes to dance. And Jerry says yes, but let's sit this one out. And I guess that's a joke as well. Like that's supposed to be wordplay, as in he's trying to start a conversation of like, so do you like to dance? Which has never happened between two men of this ilk anyway, where you're at a table together and it's like, so you like to, hey, Carl, you like to dance?
Sure, Bob.
Right. Like what?
Do we think, I'm going to go with this theory here. This is like listening to The Piano Man and realizing at some point in your life that there's the whole line where it's like, Davy, who's still in the Navy and probably will be for life, is talking to, I think it's Bill, the real estate novelist who never had time for a wife. And you're like, are they lovers? This movie. So I'm just going to say here, I'm going to point out, ultimately at the end, Talbot gets it. Do we think his wife is overly sexual with everyone else because she's really his beard and Gifford is actually such a quote unquote unmarried cad because he is also homosexual. So therefore, Talbot has to divorce his wife in order to be the single man GM to Gifford.
Listen, that would equate to some Machiavellian hand jobs happening in the boardroom there. That's a lot of persona switching, couple switching.
He did get rid of her by the end of the movie.
Oh yeah. No, he's free and easy.
It all tracks.
He can help old man Gifford out whenever he needs it. Whenever that thing comes to life.
Very easy for him to like be like, get out of here. You're such a floozy, and you're not. Yeah, I'm good with it.
I mean, maybe that's.
I mean, even Gifford at the end, like when she goes to kiss him and he like grabs the side of the chair, like he doesn't actually even touch her.
No, he.
Which I get is also probably just supposed to be like he's being a gentleman about it, but also maybe he's homosexual.
I could see it happening. Now, Jerry, that's news. I mean, this is an interesting twist that you're proposing here. I don't know. I didn't see that myself because Jerry seems to be pretty...
I don't know, but he'd have to be pretty masculine, like overtly masculine Texan in order to get away in Texas with actually, in this era, being homosexual.
Yeah.
But he is asking another man, do you like to dance?
No. Sid's asking him if he likes to dance.
Well, maybe.
So maybe...
They're all just one big
everybody,
gay party.
it's just, oh man.
I'm just saying, it's a woman's world because all the men are gay.
All the men are kissing each other.
In the best way. This movie would be so much better.
Right? Yeah, they should. Boy, 10 stars.
And they should all just make Lauren Bacall the general manager of the company.
Exactly. She should be telling them all what to do, and then they'll get off on that too on some level, I'm sure. And it'll be just...
Right.
Yeah, it'll be a big old kink fest. Good for them.
Right.
You got to do something. It's the 50s, right? This shit's boring.
I would like these men a whole lot more if
You're making me almost want to watch this over again through the lens of, are all these guys hot for each other?
Okay, yeah.
What a twist that would be. That would be subtext. It is certainly not in the text because these are some just boring 50s white dudes as presented anyway. So these guys are sitting at their table. Meanwhile, Mr. Gifford is dancing, of course, with Carol, the go-getter. I don't know, how do we want to describe her in a way that's respectful?
Social ladder climber.
Very nicely put. That one. And she is just putting the moves on, and she is just trying to play him like a dime store fiddle. And he's leaning into it. He's fine with it all. He's taking it all in, of course. Then also Liz is dancing then with Bill Baxter, and I forget what they're talking about. Doesn't really matter. Not terribly interesting. Oh, I guess Katie is also dancing with somebody. Who is the missing dance partner? Oh, with Tony probably. Is Tony around? Doesn't fucking matter. Don't worry about it, audience. You don't need to know any of this. All you need to know, it's a woman's world, and these guys are giving each other boardroom handies. That's all you need to know. End of discussion. Woman's world. Final thoughts. No. Okay. So.
No, I wouldn't watch this movie anymore.
Mr. you wish it was the time to say that. Sorry, you got another hour left. So Mr. Gifford also does his own terrible joke, which is, I know we're dancing, but isn't our conversation getting somewhat circular? And then Carol responds with the dead laugh of a woman talking to a powerful man. It is...
I know we're dancing, but isn't our conversation getting somewhat circular?
Just a classic false, like, I guess I'm here and I have nothing else that I can do but pretend to laugh at your joke, Mr. Gifford. Yeah, so then there's this guy, Tony, dancing with Katie, who is clueless about the job prospect.
Hold me closer, Tony Danger. Sorry, you just like Tony dancing.
I want to go dancing, Mona. So he... Oh, yeah. So and then there's, okay, so when Tony Danza is dancing with Katie Baxter, he has to teach her about what fingers crossed means. Like she should keep her fingers crossed, and she's sort of like, I don't even know what that is. And he has to explain like what, this it's like what you do when you need good luck or whatever. You cross your fingers. And it just kind of stood out to me because I don't know how you grew up, Shrishma. This is the glory of an international panel of experts at being human. In the early 21st century, or late 20th century even. But do you remember learning about fingers crossed as a thing?
Yes.
You do,
yes.
Specifically.
Yeah, we always knew if you lie and your fingers are crossed, then you're telling a lie.
But you always knew that, right?
Yeah, I always knew that.
Okay.
And then, I hope it happens. Everyone, cross your fingers and cross your toes.
You get the concept.
Got it.
Right, but you don't remember the first time that somebody explained that concept to you, right? It's just a part of behavior.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just a thing that we do. And so it's weird to see a human being teach.
You didn't need it explained to you as an adult person.
One human adult teach another human adult.
Crossing your fingers,
right, bro? What this is. No, just cross them. Like this? No. Like this. Yeah, right. But we're one step away from that. And she's like, I had no idea. And she does it to a point where and remember, she's clumsy, guys. So she's going to drop some glasses. Her fingers are crossed. You can't hold on to a glass when your fingers are crossed like that. But she doesn't know. She's new to it. It's bizarre. It's like she's an alien. Anyway, it's weird to see it documented in a film. But there it is. It's the 1950s.
Maybe in this movie, it's a woman's world. It's an alien's world, and all the women are aliens.
It's an alien's world.
I'm just kidding. I'm trying to make this movie better.
No, we have to find any meaning we can.
Keep workshopping it. That's closer. Again, throw some aliens into almost any situation, and I'm 10% more happy than I was. For real. Yeah. Okay, so then, so Katie's nervous. She spills a drink. And then she puts her foot in her mouth with Mr. Gifford about the job because she really does not want her husband to get it because she doesn't want to leave her family or Kansas City. She doesn't want to move to New York. And Mr. Gifford's like, wow, this is rather interesting that you should say that, of course, because he is Mr. Gifford's really getting off on choosing. Right. He's Mr. Choosy. I'm going to be the one to.
He has the power.
He's the bachelorette, right? Yeah. He's the one. He's going to, I'll give my rose to thee.
Yeah.
So then we get some after the Stork Club. We get some nice file footage of what I'm guessing is Times Square. Is this Times Square? Seems to be. Yeah. And I just wanted to point out this massive series of signs for Bond 2 trouser suits. 2 trousers. Which raises a question. Are they talking about pants, a unit of pant, leg? I mean, we've talked about this on the podcast before, or I've heard another podcast talk about this, but units of pants, is one pant, one leg of a pair of pants? Is that why it's a pair? Why 2 trouser suits? Or are they only selling 2 trousered suits? There's only 2 when you go into the display room or whatever. Do you get where I'm going with this?
These are all great questions.
Do you have any answers for me? Is it aliens?
Maybe it's like for the gay couple, so they could like be matchy.
Okay, good. We're back to the hand jobs. Glad we got back there.
A woman's world, aka handies in the boardroom.
We have made this movie way more interesting. Also, now that we've zoomed in on this 2 trouser suit sign, right underneath it, it's just a sign that says Hans Christian Andersen.
Hey.
He's playing Times Square, everybody. He's going to do The Little Mermaid tonight.
Is it Hans or Hars?
A whole new world.
It looks like an R.
Heart. I mean, that.
You're clearly right.
Hans Christian Andersen. It's like a cover band of Hans Christian Andersen's greatest. I mean, he would have.
He almost says Kanye on the neck.
It does almost say Kanye. Oh, you know who that is, though? I bet you that's Danny Kaye.
I bet that is Danny Kaye.
Who was Danny Kaye's a dancer, right, Carolyn?
Yes.
Okay. So he's dancing for Hans Christian Andersen. He's opening for Hans Christian Andersen. Can't read the rest of the sign there, but what a bill that is. Jesus Christ. Meanwhile, everybody is sort of recapping the evening, right? So Bill Baxter is just reassuring Katie in the cab on the way back. You did great. Don't worry about it. I know you're anxious. Don't worry about it. And the Talbots are also sort of
stressing.
Yes, debriefing, wondering what their positioning is. Carol has an idea of what position she would like to be in. Also, I've always wondered where the girl with the pearl earring was.
Yeah, that was really interesting.
It turns out
it's at the plaza.
The picture was right there.
Yeah. This is who is it? Is this a Vermeer?
Yes,
okay,
it is a Vermeer.
So original Vermeers hang in the plaza. That's the type of splashing out that Gifford Motors does. Here, have a wonderful plaza suite and also some notorious Dutch art. Enjoy. But the conversation they're having is that Jerry is a little bit annoyed with Carol's flaunting of her boobies all over the goddamn place. Honey, look, I appreciate...
I'm a man, baby, and those are my boobies.
Well, no, I don't... That's... Carolyn, normally I would agree with you, but in this situation, this one time, I will object because he basically says, I just want to do this my way. I don't need you to flex your boobs to get what I want. I believe in myself and my abilities or whatever. Is that okay with you guys?
Yeah, I
mean,
hear
this, check with the matriarchy here. Is that cool if we allow Jerry this one win?
Oh, we should allow him to get his role by the merits of his resume and personality, whereas I will forever be judged by my boobies.
Rejected by the council.
Right.
I'm fine with it.
Bye.
It's okay. Shrishma is not shedding a tear for poor Jerry Talbot over there, who just wants to make it on his own merits. It's a tough crowd. Well, this is why, if we're going to overthrow the patriarchy, it starts with Jerry Talbot. Right? Poor Jerry. I think poor Jerry. I think this guy, he just wants to do a good job. That's my read on.
Oh, is that what he wants to do?
I talk as much shit as any of y'all about men in these movies.
For this one instance.
This one scene. Okay. Just give me this one slice of a scene.
Okay. I mean, Carolyn, I guess I have to.
Carolyn, it's a cool with you.
Convincing in person.
I think that we can acknowledge that he's aware that his wife is hawking her wares.
Yeah.
So to speak.
And all I'm saying is
He's
that
like,
he's not saying,
"Put
honey,
your boobies away."
Get over there and hawk your wares.
That's true.
Flash
He's
him,
like,
flash him
"Don't
those
stop doing
fabulous gals.
I understand.
Whip them out, and we'll get to where we want to be. He's just like, I'm a salesman, dude. So I'm, Shrishma's not.
No,
But I can also argue. I'll be devil's advocate and argue. Oh, I'm sorry. Are my tits in the way of your promotion?
Fair enough.
So
tough crowd, Justin.
Yeah, that's okay. I don't give a shit.
I mean, I get it. I want to acknowledge that. Yes, he wants to get it on his own merit.
That's
okay,
that's the
and
only
not
point
his
I was
wife's
trying
boobies.
to make. That's it. That's it.
I get that.
I know,
But like,
we don't want to give.
Is it really on his own merit if he's like a middle-aged white man in America in the 1950s?
This is the point, right? Right. This is what you were
fair-
saying.
absolutely
I
fair.
get it. I get it.
Absolutely
Fine.
fair.
Fine. We're not going to shed a tear for Jerry. Fuck you, Jerry. Get out of here. Take your premiere and leave. Thank you. Please and thank you.
Go take your integrity somewhere else.
Right. It's not wanted here. Only boobs and hand jobs. Now. Guys, this could be our best episode yet. Hey everybody, it's me, Mid-Roll Jay-Z, breaking in here per usual to bust up the flow and to let you know what is going on outside of this program here with Old Movie Time Machine. This week, it's a very special time. October is approaching, of course, which means that we are kicking off what we are going to call Hitchcocktober. That's right, it's a bunch of thrilling suspense by the master of such things, Alfred Hitchcock. We're going to be watching three Hitchcock movies in a row in October and talking about them as we do here on Old Movie Time Machine. So, at the end of the show, of course, we always announce what next week's program is going to be about, so I will save for you the itinerary so it can be a little surprise. A little incentive for you to finish this episode. You do not want to miss the rest of Woman's World, for God's sake, and its glittery globe. So just be aware that as October approaches, October actually morphs into Hitchcocktober, only here on Old Movie Time Machine. That's it for now. We just need you to listen. Also 5-star reviews. Also buy a t-shirt. I don't know. And if you do, I will thank you like I will right now. Thank you. And now back to the show. Meanwhile, the men are off touring the line over at the plant, the Gifford plant, in what I have to assume is New Jersey, maybe? I mean, it's like they're in the middle of Manhattan for most of the time.
I honestly, and I realize, you and I are from Michigan. Or I'm like, where are you making cars in the tri-state area? Please tell me, because I'm like, this, where?
Yeah.
Where?
Yeah. I mean, even Jersey is a push because that's mostly turnpike. So where are you going to fit? It's
needless to say.
But they drive into the UN building. Are they? And then they show the shot of the. I think.
Well, I mean, they do drive. They do go in here, right? Or it seems like they do. But we just leave them.
By the way,
there,
that whole. It does not look like it's a very secure building.
Oh, you don't think that the one guy over here,
that one derpy guard over there, is doing any good?
Who looks like he's a bellhop from the Plaza Hotel.
Hey, there's James Bond. Oh, I'm just kidding.
This one right here.
Yeah.
Trench coated. They don't even have like a gate arm over here. It's just an open gate into the UN. Come one, come all. We're united here. Who would fuck with the UN? So then we go to the proving ground. I just like this sign.
What is proving ground?
A proving ground is where they test all the prototypes, right? So that's the big track that they're all going around. I just like this sign. This is the 1940s and 50s were a golden age for casual signage. Yeah, I mean, the down to the sans serif font, this sort of stylized curvy arrow and everything. The fact that these letters are dimensional. It's incredible. And so here we are at the proving ground. Mr. Gifford is spending some time with his
boys,
his gentleman callers. He's
testing on the handies.
He's deciding who he's going to give his.
May I see your wrist, Mr. Burns? He's supple, but he's
strong forearm.
Yeah, good endurance.
Sorry.
No, No apologies. We're all participating. We're all guilty of the boardroom handjob bit.
This could all just be done in like what do I want to say, like a Greek spa or something where they're just all sitting around in towels, like bath. Or a sauna.
Yeah, right.
A Turkish bath. Yeah, yeah. We just go there.
Mm-hmm. And so he is sort of.
He's taking his boys for a test drive at the proving ground.
There it is. Thank you. I'll take you to the proving ground and give you a spin, a couple laps.
Do we also want to talk about how, Ford at this particular time was trying to live his best eugenics life?
Now, when did Old Man Ford die? Do we know that? Was it?
Well, okay.
But I also wouldn't be surprised if, much like our space program in this era, how many Nazis were hired.
That's true.
Well, we will be talking about Operation Paperclip very, very shortly in the upcoming weeks. But certainly this is the same age as the kickoff of the space program. So we're seeing, again, the mind of the United States is on these sort of like, well, how are we going to fly our cars when we finally set up our apartments on the moon? That's really where they're thinking.
Henry Ford died in 1947.
47. Okay. So they could safely sort of parody him with Mr. Gifford at this point. Although Ford remains at this point a very powerful entity. The decline of the American automobile industry doesn't start happening until the 60s, I would say. Right. So at this point, it's all about Ford's baby boy, Hank the Deuce, trying to fill his father's large anti-Semitic shoes.
Right. It just, it's one of those things that...
Well, Henry Ford was an incredibly powerful man in the world.
He was.
For somebody who made cars, right?
So he was he had anti-Semitic opinions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's not even like...
He also was one of those that was kind of interested in the whole eugenics thing in general, which, like Charles Lindbergh was one of those.
Hell yeah. This was an era where there were a lot of ideas floating in the ether that people were picking up on. But yes, the anti-Semitic aspect is not even a matter of debate where it's like, well, somebody once heard him say this, or he was known. So there's a text called the Protocols of the Elders of Zion. I don't know if you've ever heard of this. It comes out of Eastern Europe or Russia, somewhere from there, probably somewhere in the 18th, 19th century. And it's where this conspiracy theory that is ongoing, continues to this day, comes from, that there is a secret cabal of Jewish people who are controlling the world's money, this whole fallacy, right? So all of that is outlined in this text, the Protocols of the Elders.
You mean the Illuminati?
I was going to say, it sounds a lot like the Illuminati.
Yeah, something like that, right? It's the same principle, right? It was written as like, oh, this is an ancient text. This is this is secret knowledge or whatever. But it was really written contemporaneous to when, the 19th century somewhere.
So it could just be written by
just anybody. Yeah, anybody could have written it, and just
Joseph Smith
doesn't like Jewish people, right?
Mormons,
right? And anti-Semitism is huge. It's all the rage in Europe and Asia, anywhere really, for all time. They've had quite a go of it. Anyway, so Henry Ford takes this document and he starts republishing it for the United States, for them to, and puts real money and resources into it and tries to get that going, basically. Boy, he made that assembly line, though, right? That's a thing.
I mean, he revolutionized automobile manufacture.
Yeah.
Where would we be without that?
Wheels for the world. I'm not disputing that. It was certainly massive, especially for where we grew up. It's everywhere. It's,
right. You're in Michigan.
Yeah, right.
Detroit.
Right. So
wasn't that where the factory was?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So more likely than not, somebody in your family is working for that, that industry on some level. Anyway, we don't get any anti-Semitism from Mr. Gifford, but just know that it's probably there.
Right.
Such were the times.
we don't know. There's definitely no people of color in his company. So
I didn't notice any people of color in this film at all.
Right.
Anybody got one? Okay. So just representation watch there. It's a 0. It's low. It's very
nothing
low.
To watch.
Yeah, nothing to see here.
It's a woman's world.
Yeah, it's barely any women
filled
in
with
it.
old white men.
Yeah, right. So the guys talk about how great Mr. Briggs was during this time. They kind of meander their way into the upholstery room, which is, it is very cinematic, the different colors of leather that they are putting on their different seats and everything. And so they wander in here and take a seat, and Mr. Gifford takes his shoes off to rub his feet. Thanks a lot for that, old man. Next to these built-in, these upright ashtrays in the display room.
A new level of smoking. It is display room smoking.
Display room smoking is available upon request. And so I have to imagine that they just knew, the company made a decision. HR made a decision at some point. Okay, guys, the upholstery room, it's filled with seats. We all know that anybody going in there is going to sit on those seats. We have a real problem, though. People are burning holes into this fresh upholstery. What are we going to do? Well, throw some ashtrays in there. We can't get them to not smoke. They're always going to be smoking, and they're always going to be sitting if a seat is available, which this room is entirely made of seats. He then lets the guys know that, hey, after dinner tonight, I'm going to make my big decision. So get ready for that. And this is just the power trip that he gets off on. This is his sexuality, is the power thing. He likes, he's into the power more than the people. So then as the couples are then preparing for the big final dinner and getting all sorted, Carol, she of classic boobies fame, using them and losing them as she sees fit.
She has to go down early to get a cocktail.
That's right. She's pulling this move again. She made a late entrance before. This time she's playing the early entrance card, where she corners Mr. Gifford in his sweet office, his excellent library. Again, the rooms in this place, I hate them for having them, but I love the place itself. It's great. And she's very, plays her little coy game, and he plays right back. And she's like, I just want to put in another good word for Jerry, my man Jerry over there. He doesn't really talk himself up, and he really should. And, because he is something else. And I would like to put in a good word for him. And Mr. Gifford is like, well, I would like you to know that he is my favorite. Now, she takes this to mean that he has been chosen for the position, and she sort of takes it further down that line of well, that's great news for me then, isn't it? And also possibly great news for you. How can I show my gratitude for your feelings towards my husband? May I give you a kiss? And she kisses this old man. And
to shock.
And he is like, that's something. And then he makes it clear that, by the way, I have not chosen him for this position. I just wanted a smooch from you.
You heard what you wanted to hear.
You heard what you wanted to hear because I lied to your face, basically. Come on. He was telegraphing whatever. He can play the lawyer game of, what does a word mean? What is, I said this and you interpreted this, whatever. He knew what he was doing. Make no mistake about it. And
obviously
he let her do it too. Now, if he wanted to catch her in her web of deceit and lies that she has been weaving, he could have stopped her right before she kissed him and been like, and you have fallen right into my trap. But no, he takes the kiss. He takes advantage of her putting the moves on for her benefit, and he spins it to his benefit, which is getting kissed by this beautiful woman. And then he smugly tells her to go piss off because she's a liability. Not really. That doesn't really happen.
And she stomps back upstairs.
She is outraged. And she tells Jerry all about it. Well, not all about it, but he's been around long enough to know, fill in the blanks, what's going on with Carol. And she is not impressed with his response and starts talking about the previous occasions in which she has helped boost his career by, fucking his colleagues or whatever, or I fucking his colleagues or smooching his colleagues, whatever they're doing. And he gets a real measure of who his wife is. You would think he would know by now, but he seems rather not surprised, but sort of like, so this is how it is. And he is very turned off by it. pulls out her suitcase and is like, well, you're done. We are done with this right here. So you can pound sand, pack it up. We'll see you later. You're not coming to dinner. This is over. And so we finally get to this dinner, you guys, the big finale dinner, which nobody eats because they're all too nervous.
I would not eat either.
No.
It's like a big decision. Like, tell us and then we'll fucking eat.
Stop jerking my chain, man, and just let it out, which is what his sister tells him, basically. Like, will you stop fucking with these people? Stop toying with them and just nobody's eating anything. What a waste. All of this is a huge waste. And
exactly.
It all could have been an email. This whole movie.
Well, yeah, seriously.
Could have been an email.
Yeah, but is this too far removed from the modern equivalent, which is these, I don't know if you're familiar with the 360-degree performance review or whatever, where it's like, we're going to talk to your family, and we're going to talk to your colleagues, and we're going to talk to your, whoever the fuck in your life. We're talking to everybody in your life about you to find out about you and who you are. This is the same thing in a sense, We're not that far removed from it. This is
like I could see this happening at like some Silicon Valley tech company,
or like consultancies, like big consultancies.
Yeah, and this would be the equivalent. I mean, the Gifford Automobiles is one of the largest companies in the U.S. We're led to believe, right?
Absolutely.
Everybody's driving Giffords out there, right? Yeah, you got a Gifford. I got a Gifford.
Well, I will, because that's what I'm taking for the boom room.
Oh, hey-oh, a little sneak preview there of the boom room. Anyway, old man Gifford is like, all right, well, fine. I will stop playing my little mind games and I will get to the point. After I give this little speech where he goes around.
After I give a little speech where I compliment everyone.
Right. You, Bill Baxter, you're a solid dude. Your wife's a train wreck. But I believe in you, and it doesn't, you would succeed anywhere. I think you're the best, and I love you, son. And then he goes over to Sid Burns, and he's like, you, son, you are also, hardworking, and, you started in the plant, and you've mastered every task we've given you. I would be proud to have you in this position. Great job, son. And he's like, thank you, Dad. And then he goes around to Jerry Talbot, and he's like, Jer, tell you what. You were not the man for the position. You're good at what you do, but I'm not just analyzing you. I'm analyzing the people around you too. And you had a handicap.
Fatal handicap.
A fatal handicap, no less. You had an extra appendage that was rotting, that was gangrenous, and it was rotting your opportunities for this position. And I thought you couldn't do it, but all of a sudden,
I thought you couldn't divest yourself of that.
And then all of a sudden, though,
rotting appendage.
This handicap has been cast aside of your own volition. And I'll tell you what, that means you, Charlie Bucket, have won the keys to the chocolate factory. And I'm going to give you all the fizzy lifting drinks that you want. Congratulations, you have got the job, sir. And everybody is... Actually,
because now that your wife's out of the way, you can give me a great hand job in the boardroom.
Right. Yeah. Now that we got these voluptuous tits out of the way, it's just you and me, Jer. See you at the boardroom. Close the door behind you. Thanks. And everybody is very relieved because everybody is getting what they want, what they truly want. But they're also getting approval from Daddy, and that is also what they all want as well. And
which is when he says the line, it's a great big woman's world only because men are in it.
That's right.
Well, fuck you, Daddy Warbucks.
And that's it. Daddy Warbucks closes it down with a special thank you for Ford Motors and their concept cars. And we're done. We're out of woman's world. What a ride. Yeah.
Can I also just go during the tea hour? Did anyone else seem to catch when after the tea was spilled on the dress that Lauren Bacall and What's Her Butt were still in the room, and their conversation was very much about how a woman's worth is giving her husband children.
Children, exactly. And that's when she was like, that's when she made this, I don't know what she said, but she was something like, something's the most. And I was like, okay.
She says that to the sister. Like
no, she says it to Carol.
Sophia.
To Carol, the titty lady.
she says it to Boobs McGee? She says that.
They're both sitting there, like those two went off and they're both sitting there. And I forget what they were talking about, but I just remember she's like, well, it's the most.
I thought she said that to Sophia. Okay, all right. I'll take your word for it. But yeah, it's great. That's a drop. We'll need to use that because some things fucking are the most, you know? Lauren Bacall herself is the most, right?
You're the most.
So here we are at the end of Woman's World. Clearly, we're all in love with this film. End of program. No. Okay. Shrishma Naik. The ultimate question. Woman's World, 1954. Lauren Bacall. Do we keep watching this?
No.
Why not?
I mean, it's stupid. I didn't like this movie. It was not even fun to watch.
No.
Like, outside of what the message... It's the same message.
Yeah. Oh, you've seen this one before, have you?
So we've seen, as you clearly like mapped out earlier,
Yeah.
you go from high school to college to early working life, and this is like late life, and it's all the same. Like,
Yeah, same message, same positioning.
and here it's like even worse because you've already now you're in the marriage, and even within the marriage, it's like your trophy wife.
Yeah.
And it can't be more obvious. Like they say it, as long. So
Well, and this is a very mid 1950s movie. I said it last week when we were setting this up. Is like this is, even though it's only 5 years removed from the best of everything. Those 5 years are 5 years further away from the 60s where things start to change and progress a little bit in a way that we're more familiar with. So this is very foreign to us modernize, I think. Carolyn Naoroz, Woman's World from 1954, the great year. Do we keep watching this thing?
Hard no.
thanks.
Hard no.
Especially because I think it
just
caused some discord in your personal life also.
It just brings up stuff that it just truly goes against my core values. And, Shrishma, you said it before, watching any number of these films, like, I would not have survived the 1950s. I just am so frustrated that over and over and over again, the messaging for women is very much like, only if you're a wife and a mother, like that's your only role in life. And if you have anything outside of that, there's something wrong with you. And I will say, I feel like in women of certainly my own generation, in and around my own age, I don't even, maybe 10 years older than me or a little bit more, I would say like, I don't feel that judgment anymore. But certainly, like, generationally, I mean, I feel like I'm now past the age where people ask me if I'm going to have kids. I would be like, what? But in my 20s, a lot. And even, when I was first married to David, people would be like, you sure you don't want your own kids? I'd be like, yes, I am so
I'm
sure.
good.
I am so good with that decision. And... so it's to a certain extent that I just have a hard time stomaching this just being beaten over the head again and again and again and again. That the only thing that we're good for is taking care of man babies and having their babies.
So it's a no from you, Carolyn.
Yeah, it's a no from me. And I also say, no, I'm not having my own children.
Guys, it's a no for me as well. This movie is a 0. There are a couple of things I can take away from it as far as like, I love stock footage
Right.
of the era of this, this says miles of it. And the cars are very nice to look at. Lauren Bacall, always stunning. I love her style.
She was like probably like the silver lining in this movie.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. But yeah, this is, there's nothing of value here that we need. It's boring. It goes nowhere. Even the style that we love from these, the aesthetic style of this era is nowhere near close to saving it. It's not even like a borderline, like, well, I like the supermarket, so maybe it's a 0. So this is a no for me. Also, Jurassic World is a no for me. Because as far as I'm concerned, it's a woman's Jurassic World, you guys. It's a woman's Jurassic World.
I think I have a reason as to why I dislike these movies so much.
Oh,
Outside of
other than the
message,
obvious,
right?
Okay.
Because I think like when I watch Bollywood movies and like come from India and all this stuff, like we always look to America to be more like like open-minded and more equal and more like, you know, the
told you that?
bastion of freedom and equality, blah, blah. So to see that it's like it was exactly the same messaging, I think that's what's disappointing.
Sure. Well, I mean, I don't know what India's messaging is about.
It's pretty much the same.
About what, you know, how it likes to represent itself. But, you know, the United States loves patting itself on the back about how fucking great we are with equality and, you know, freedom.
But
our men are men and our women have babies.
Right. Exactly.
Freedom isn't
Which
free,
is pretty
guys.
much the same story in my motherland.
Okay. So. I mean, but I just feel like you guys aren't claiming to be the best of all things.
Fair. That's true.
We definitely are. Right. So USA number one, obviously. Okay, you guys. So that does it for Woman's World. But let's talk about next week. And I believe now that we have concluded our mini arc about women in the era.
We're talking about
this
men.
is how you're looking. No. Because we're headed into
October. Am I right?
You're right. We're headed into the spooky season, you guys. And it's something that we are calling Hitchcocktober. And this is a thrilling series of suspense. We're going to do 3 Hitchcocks in a row. So if you've been tuning out for some of these, you know, like you're like, Dragnet, who gives a shit? I understand. I totally get it, right? I see the numbers. I know that sometimes you don't want to watch man's favorite sport, ?
Girls.
Long live the Prentice-Sons. But you definitely want to watch the Hitchcocks, right? This is one of the masters of cinema, right? This is one of the best guys to ever do it. So these are quality films at the very least. Whether or not they pass the smell test that we're going to run them through is another question entirely. But at least these were made with craft and care and will be entertaining. They remain entertaining these many decades later. So Hitchcocktober, this is it, you guys. It's scary. Tell all your friends. These are the ones you want to tune in for. Starting with next week, we kick off the month with 1955's The Trouble with Harry. Chosen this one. It's a little bit more obscure, right? It's not your Vertigo level Hitchcock where it's a household name kind of thing, but it definitely has the right kind of autumn vibes that we're going for. It's kind of fun, dead bodies, maybe some kind of haunting or something like that. Let's see what it says. The trouble with Harry is that he is dead. And while no one really minds, everyone feels responsible. After Harry's body is found in the woods, several locals must determine not only how and why he was killed, but what to do with the body. Next week on Old Movie Time Machine.
Have a cookie.
Thank you very much, me from the past, and so concludes yet another episode of Old Movie Time Machine. Wow, could be the best one yet, but you tell me, and the gals, of course. Write us at partyline@oldmovietimemachine.com. Also, real quick, just wanted to do a real-time correction here. I said that Henry Ford II was Henry Ford's son. It's his grandson. His son is Edsel, who then begat Hank the Deuce. I'm sorry, all you gearheads out there. I caught it. I caught it as soon as I played it back and listened to it. I was like, I don't think that's right. So excuse me for my ignorance on the Ford family lineage. This does not change the fact that they built a lot of cars and provided wheels for the world and also did a lot of horrible shit with their money too. But anyway, please be aware that if you enjoyed this program, there's actually twice as much of it in existence over on our Patreon page. We call it the Boom Room. The link is in the show notes as ever. Just click on that guy, sign up, $2 a month. You're going to get twice the awesome content that you're getting here on the free feed. You don't want to miss it, you guys. We've got a nice little community building up over there, and they're getting all the inside jokes, all of the drops, everything. It's all there on the Patreon, so join us there. As for next week, 1955's The Trouble with Harry. That's right. I know you've never heard of this before, but it exists, and it is, seriously, guys, like the most fall movie ever. So if you want to get into an autumnal state of mind, this is the one you want to dial up and have a watch before we talk about it next Wednesday. And this is available for you on the interwebs at the following locations for rent or purchase: Apple TV, Amazon, Google Play, YouTube, Voodoo, Microsoft Store? Is that what it is? Microsoft Store, that's right. Redbox, DirecTV, and probably other places. Go find it. It's a Hitchcock. It is wildly competent compared to the rest of the shit we've been watching lately, and you know you want to see some of that. Cleanse your palate with a classic, or a near classic. This isn't like Vertigo level, but it's pretty fucking good compared to, Woman's World, for God's sake. We just spent like 2 hours on this thing. So join us next week, The Trouble with Harry, and until then, this has been Old Movie Time Machine.